8:45. This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. The news edited by J. Yogaraj and read by Lavani Vijayatunga. First, we take a look at the headlines. Japan set to do its part over Sri Lanka debt woes. The national ceremony of the World Children's Day celebrations will be held tomorrow at Setsiripaya Battaramulla. Part of Colombo Avisavala Road temporarily closed this weekend. The Red Cross Society of China to donate more food packs to Sri Lanka. And still on the news overseas, Prayut Chan-o-cha, Thai Court rules school leader can remain the Prime Minister. And in sports news, Rory McIlroy, world number 2, rejects criticisms of caddy Harry Diamond. Those were the headlines, and now more to the details of the local news. Japan is prepared to do its part over Sri Lanka's debt issue, but other creditors such as China and India should also be involved in efforts to resolve it, Finance Minister Shunichi Suzuki said on Thursday. Suzuki made these remarks after meeting with President Ranil Wickremesinghe, which has reached a preliminary agreement with the International Monetary Fund on a $2.9 billion loan as the Asian nation needs to restructure its massive debt. Suzuki said that he urged Sri Lanka during Thursday's meeting to provide the necessary information to make its own efforts to get China, India and other creditors involved and boost transparency. Japan will do its part if such preconditions are met, Suzuki told reporters without elaborating in the Philippine capital Manila, where he attended a meeting of the Asian Development Bank. During his visit to Japan, the Sri Lankan president met with the Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida on Wednesday and discussed the debt issue. The leaders recognized the importance of fair and transparent debt restructuring that involves all creditor nations, according to Japanese Foreign Ministry. Sri Lanka defaulted on its debt earlier this year. The COVID-19 pandemic added to the woes of the Asian nation, already struggling financially after taking out loans from countries such as China to develop its infrastructure. The Ministerial Consultative Committee on Justice is scheduled to meet on the 4th at 2 p.m. in the Parliament to consider the 22nd Constitutional Amendment Bill to be debated in the Parliament on the 6th and 7th of October. Members of Parliament will have the opportunity to present their views and proposals regarding this bill in the committee chaired by the Minister of Justice, Prison Affairs and Constitutional Reforms, Dr. Vijayadasa Rajapaksa. Meanwhile, the Consultative Committee on Power and Energy is scheduled to meet at 11 a.m. on the day under the chairmanship of Minister Kanchana Wijayasekara. The stretch of road between Vellampitiya Junction to Kotikawatha Junction on the Colombo Avisavala Road will remain temporarily closed for traffic over the weekend, the police said. Accordingly, the road will remain closed from 10 p.m. on the 1st of October, that's Saturday, until 5 p.m. on the 2nd of October, that's Sunday. However, the residents of the aforementioned area will be permitted to use the road for their requirements for a limited period of time. The police have informed the motorists to use the alternative routes during this period. Accordingly, the vehicles travelling from Colombo can move through the Vellampitiya Junction to Gothatua town via Kolonnawa and enter the Avisavala Road again through Kotikawatha Junction. Vehicles coming from Avisavala are informed to reach the Gothatua town via Kotikawatha Junction and to travel towards Colombo along the Kolonnawa Vellampitiya Junction. The temporary road closure is announced due to urgent water pipe laying work from Kaduwala to Urugadawatta, the police explained in a press release. This is the news from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. And we continue with more local news. The Red Cross Society of China has decided to provide more food packs to the neediest families living in the northern province of Sri Lanka. The donation worth $150,000 is made through the Sri Lanka Red Cross Society, the Embassy of China in Colombo said in a statement. In May and July, the Chinese organization gifted dry rations to nearly 10,000 families in Homa Gama and Noora Elia. The outgoing High Commissioner of Canada, David McKinnon, hailed the steps taken by the Sri Lankan government to stabilize the economy. He expressed these views when he met Prime Minister Dinesh Gunawardena at his office today. Further, they discussed matters of mutual interest and challenges to both countries. The High Commissioner also stated that it would be beneficial to attract the support of the successful Sri Lankan origin businessmen living in Canada for the benefit of the Sri Lankan economy. Prime Minister Gunawardena expressed his appreciation for the support given by the Canadian government to Sri Lanka during the challenging times. The headline inflation of Sri Lanka, as measured by the year-on-year change in the Colombo Consumer Price Index, has increased to 69.8% in September 2022 from 64.3% in August 2022. According to the Department of Census and Statistics, this increase in year-on-year inflation was driven by the monthly increases of both food and non-food categories. Accordingly, the food inflation year-on-year increased to 94.9% in September from 93.7% in August, while the non-food inflation year-on-year increased to 57.6% in September from 52% in August this year. And to conclude the local news, let's go back to the headlines once again. Japan set to do its part of Sri Lanka's debt woes. The national ceremony of the World Children's Day celebrations will be held tomorrow at Setsiripaya in Battaramulla. Red Cross Society of China to donate more food packs to Sri Lanka. The Ministerial Consultative Committee on Justice is scheduled to meet on the 4th of October at 2 p.m. in the Parliament to consider the 22nd Constitutional Amendment Bill to be debated in the Parliament. CCPI-based inflation soars to 69.8% in September. And that was the local news.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
The main news story for tonight, the national ceremony of the World Children's Day celebrations will be held tomorrow at Setsiripaya Battaramulla. It will be held under the patronage of State Ministers Geeta Kumarasinghe and Shanta Bandara. Another celebration is scheduled to be held tomorrow at the Sukadasa Stadium and will be headed by Minister Susil Premajanta. Our provincial correspondents say that a number of functions to mark this occasion had been organized in many schools throughout the island today, and this is in view of the World's Children's Day. Many functions will take place in schools on Monday as well. And that was the main news story.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
And we move on to Watchlight. The Public Utilities Commission of Sri Lanka introduced the hotline 0775 687387 to address the inquiries by consumers related to the recent electricity tariff hike in the country. PUCSL Chairman Janaka Ratnayaka said the measures were taken considering the increase in the number of complaints that have been received on the calculation of the new electricity tariff. And accordingly, the main objective is to make sure that there is a smooth transition and help consumers in every way that can convince the general public of the electricity bill, the tariff calculation, and to minimize the issues that the consumers face in this regard. The regulator approved a new electricity tariff revision providing relief to the domestic electricity consumers from the 10th of August 2022 after receiving comments from the public and other stakeholders through a public consultation process. In addition to this service, the public and the other stakeholders can connect with the PUCSL by calling the numbers 0112 392607 or 0112 392608 or emailing info@pucsl.gov.lk or consumers@pucsl.gov.lk or through the Facebook. That is on www.facebook.com/PUCSL. That came to you in Watchlight. Now let's move on to the headlines of the world news. Kabul blast kills teenagers sitting for the practice exam. Prayut Chan-o-cha, Thai court rules coup leader can remain the Prime Minister. Vikram Vedha movies return to Kashmir with Hrithik Roshan. Those are the headlines, and now let's move on to the details of the world news. A suicide attack at a tuition center in the Afghan capital Kabul has killed at least 19 people, most of them female students, the police and the witnesses say. Nearly 30 others were wounded at the Kaja Education Center in the Dashatbachi area in the western city. Students had been sitting for a practice university exam when the bomber struck. No group has yet claimed the attack. Thailand's constitutional court has thrown out a legal challenge to Prime Minister Prayuth Chan-o-cha's term limits ruling that he can stay in office. It had suspended him while it heard the case, but it had been widely expected to reject the opposition party's petitions. The opposition argued that General Prayuth has exceeded his constitutionally limited 8 years in office. Cinema halls have reopened in the Indian-administered Kashmir for the first time in more than 2 decades. Mausum Mohammad and Abid Bath reported on the return of the cinema to the conflict-torn region and what it means for the people. The foyer of the Inox multiplex in Kashmir's main city of Srinagar is filled with the region's crafts, intricate food carvings and on the ceilings and doors, and a theatre logo made of papier-mâché. Sohail Bhatt, a class 10 student, skipped school to be there on Friday when the theatre opened for the public with the screening of the Hindi movie Vikram Vedha. That was the world news. Now let's move on to the development news. The Hambantota International Port Group, HIPG, won double recognition at the Global Port Forum in Dubai, being named the Multipurpose Port Terminal of the year 2022 and Port Infrastructure Development of the year 2022 for the second consecutive year. That was the development news.
Sports News is brought to you by...
With many values that bind us beyond the transaction, we are Sampath Bank. We present your future.
We go to sports news. Rory McIlroy has strongly rejected criticism of his caddy Harry Diamond, saying that their record over the past 5 years speaks for itself. The world's number two's continuing inability to land a first major since the year 2014 has led to comment about Diamond's role, particularly on social media. However, McIlroy, age 33, labelled lifelong friend Diamond saying an easy target. That was the sports news. Business news coming up.
The fastest way to earn the highest interest from NSB, now extended till the 30th of September just for you. Your short-term deposits receive an attractive interest rate of 20% in 3 months and 22% in 7 months. Visit a bank branch or a main postal office today. NSB, the only bank with 100% government guarantee.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
The Colombo Bourse witnessed a profit-taking yesterday with mainly local investors taking the lead. Thus, the all-share price index decreased by 7.4 points to close at 9,951.5 for the day, whilst the S&P SL20 index also dropped by 15.6 points to close at 3,168.9. The all-share price index decreased as well as the SLP and SL point to close at 3,168.9. Sampath Bank, Expo Lanka Holdings, Cargill, Ceylon, Browns Investments and Harry National Bank remained as the top negative contributors to the ASPI during the day. That was the business news. Economic news follows.
Business News, sponsored by...
The fastest way to earn the highest interest from NSB, now extended till the 30th of September just for you. Your short-term deposits receive an attractive interest rate of 20% in 3 months and 22% in 7 months. Visit a bank branch or a main postal office today. NSB, the only bank with 100% government guarantee.
And moving on to economic news, local exporters should be encouraged to export value-added products, and it's high time they followed suit, Investment Promotion State Minister Dilum Amunakama stated. He made these observations addressing officials of the Export Development Board recently. The State Minister further said that the value-added products will earn much-needed competitive advantage for our brands. Hence, the local exporters should be provided with pertinent expertise and innovation to expand production and come up with value-added products for catering to global export markets. That was economic news, and with the report to conclude.
Saving money isn't easy when you have responsibility. That's why we promise to give you the best returns and guarantee on your investment. LOLC Finance Fixed Deposits. Maximize your savings. LOLC Finance PLC, incorporated on the 13th of December 2001, is rated SLA stable by ICRA Lanka Limited and is licensed by the Monetary Board of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka under the Finance Business Act number 42 of 2011.
And finally, the weather report. The Met Department says showery condition is expected to enhance to some extent in the southwestern part of the island during the next few days. Showers will occur at times in the western and Sabaragamu provinces and in the Kandy, Nuwara, Galle and Madara districts. Fairly heavy rainfalls above 75 millimeters may occur at some places. Several spells of showers will occur in the northwestern province. Showers or thunder showers will occur in the Uva province as well as the Ampara district during the evening or night. Strong winds about 50 kilometers per hour can be expected at some places over the western slopes of the Central Hills, northern, north central, southern provinces and in the Trincomalee district. This weather report was published this evening at 7:30 p.m. Further details could be obtained by visiting the official website of the department. Meanwhile, the International Weather Forecast website AccuWeather.com reports that the day's weather was cloudy with occasional showers. Today's daytime temperature was observed to be around 28 degrees Celsius. There will be light showers in many places in the Colombo district in the night. Tonight's temperature will be around 26 degrees Celsius. There will be scattered showers in selected spots late in the night. The ground temperature would be 27 degrees Celsius at the time of this news broadcast. The air quality index is 30, which is a fair condition in Colombo. The air quality is generally acceptable for most individuals. However, sensitive groups may experience minor to moderate symptoms from long-term exposure. And before we conclude this bulletin of news, let's get back to the headlines once again. Japan is set to do its part over Sri Lanka's debt woes. The national ceremony of the World Children's Day celebrations will be held tomorrow at Setsiripaya Battaramulla. Part of Colombo Avisavila Road temporarily closed this weekend. Red Cross Society of China to donate more food packs to Sri Lanka. The Ministerial Consultative Committee on Justice is scheduled to meet on the 4th of October at 2 p.m. in the Parliament to consider the 22nd Constitutional Amendment Bill to be debated in the Parliament. CCPI-based inflation soars to 69.8% in September. In news overseas, Prayut Chan-o-cha, Thai court rules coup leader can remain the Prime Minister. And in sports news, Rory McIlroy, world's number 2, rejects criticism of caddy Harry Diamond. And with that, we conclude this bulletin of news.